wrote his memories of his life. They're called your memoirs. Every president does it. Nowadays, what a president does, President, Vice, or ex-President Obama, former President Obama, tell you right now is working on a book of his memoirs, and then he's going to plan a library in his name that they'll probably put somewhere in Illinois, because that's where he's from. So John Kennedy didn't get a chance to write his memoirs, but he does have a library in Boston. Okay, Lyndon Johnson wrote his memoirs, and he has a library in Austin, Texas. Bill Clinton wrote his memoirs, has a library in Arkansas. So that's what you do. Okay, but he knew he wasn't going to live that much longer, so he wrote his memoirs with the idea of doing what? Because he had no money. Selling them for his family. Very good. So, in order to get some money out of this, you better make sure that somebody pretty famous publishes your memoirs, right? Guess who published the memoirs, personal memoirs of Ulysses S. Grant? 2-volume set, original, by the way. Guess who published these? How you doing there?
Good, how are you?
I bet you got a great experience. Hey, he's gonna pass.
Right.
Did you see that? Man, incredible. You should stop and try to get it.
Like
So, who helped publish these and made a bunch of money for President Grant, Dalton? I'd be impressed. You haven't even been here. You've heard of this person. This guy published these memoirs, and his name on the publication skyrocketed sales. Ooh, come on, some of you guys. You debate kids should know this.
Charles S. Webster.
No, it's not on the ID sheet. Not that easy. Matter of fact, I'm going to give 5 points extra credit to anybody that can come up with it. Within 1 minute from right now, I'm going to give you 5 points extra credit. Who published his memoirs that you've heard of? Raise your hand and give me an answer. And when I tell you, you're just going to go, oh my God, I should have thought that. Come on, Brady. Who was it? You've heard of him in English class. They talked about him. Come on. I'm guaranteeing it. Raise your hand if you got an answer. Yes, Dave. What? That's a good guess, but not right. Tristan? Good guess, but not right. Raise your hand. Yes. Mark Twain! Yeah! Yeah, there's 5 for Delaney Campbell. He had Mark Twain publish his memoirs. This is 1878, 79, 1880. Guess what they sold for? $500,000. Somebody get their phone out and find out what $500,000 in 1880 is worth today. Anybody got that information? Anybody can pop that up? See, we got to use these damn phones for education, then we don't know how to use them. Come on, Emily, you're the queen of phone like that, so I can tell. How much is $500,000 in 1880?
How many zeros?
What?
5 zeros?
5.
That would be 5 zeros. Yeah, maybe anybody else. Okay, 5 and 5 zeros. What's that? What in 1880? How much is that worth today? She'll work on that while we go. Okay. Now, in 1885, after writing his memoirs, he moved to New York. In 1885, he moved to New York after writing his memoirs. Any luck?
No, it doesn't give me. It gives me other numbers, but not.
Okay, I'm going to find that out for you before we're done. We've got a lot of time. So I'll get that. Suddenly, on July 23rd of 1885, he died and was buried in New York City. So in 1885, he moves to New York. He suddenly dies on July 23rd, 1885, and is buried in New York City. How about his wife, Julia? She actually passed away in 1902 and is buried at his side. So in 1885, President Grant moved to New York after writing his memoirs, which sold for nearly $500,000, where he suddenly died on July 23rd, 1885, and was buried in New York City. His wife Julia passed away in 1902 and is buried at his side. Now, although he was a very popular president and served 2 terms, historians will tell you it is possible, politically, that he was the worst president in American history. There were so many scandals and political corruptions during his 8 years in office, and we'll talk about some of them, including the Native American element, that he just absolutely probably ranks near the bottom of presidents in our country. Okay, very popular, didn't get much done. Find it? Okay, well, that'd be close enough.
So it's 11,490,000.
How much? 11,491,300. How about that? Did pretty good on his memoirs, didn't he? 11 million in today's, that's pretty good. So, that's what he did. All right, let's go back and have ourselves a little kind of quasi-review for your quiz tomorrow. Now, I'll tell you what you need to know. I'll kind of follow the notes so it's easier for you. I would be able to tell me at least 3 things about Andrew Johnson in the little profile I gave you. I said it's under Andrew Johnson, new President of the United States. 3 things about him. I won't be picky. Come up with 3 solid things about Andrew Johnson, the new President of the United States. Self-educated man, those types of things, yeah? I would know what the Civil Rights Act of 1866 did. You don't have to go into detail, you just need to say it granted citizenship and equality to all blacks. Okay, the Civil Rights Act of 1866. I'd know what the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution did. Simply, it gave all people of the United States citizenship. The law stated that all people of the United States are citizens, and it also stated that all male citizens, black and white, and make sure you put that in there, were allowed to vote. That's the 2 things you need there. Okay? I would know who Elizabeth Cady Stanton was. And I would know one of the 2 things that the radical Republicans accused President Johnson of before they passed the 10-year of office act. They tried to defame him first, and they said 2 things about him. Know one of those before they did that. I would know what the 10-year of office act stated. It's pretty simple. It required the president to get the approval of the Senate before he removed any members of his cabinet. That's what the law stated. That the president had to get approval of the Senate before he could remove any members of his cabinet. I would know who Johnson fired that set him up for impeachment. I would know who Jim Lane was and who Edmund G. Ross was, and what the significance of the book Profiles in Courage, written by Senator John Kennedy in 1956, had to do with Edmund G. Ross. I would know 3 of the reasons that historians thought President Andrew Johnson was a misfit for the presidency. I would know who Schuyler Colfax was. I would know who Horatio Seymour was. I would know the result concerning popular vote in that election of 1868. Popular vote. I would be able to list at least 8 things that I told you in the profile of President Ulysses S. Grant, and I would know how much he sold his memoirs for then and what they're worth now, rounding now to 11 million. How's that sound?
I have one question.
Okay.
Hold on. So, what was the number for the grant winning for popular vote?
Okay, what do you think I'm going to want to know there? I probably know that there were 6 million people that voted, and Grant won by 5%. How about that? Make it a little bit reasonable. Although 309,000 is not tough to remember. Now I want to talk to you a little bit about life. Why are you laughing at me, Elise?